The laughter cut sharper than the glass in her hand. "Get lost, sweetheart," one of them said, leaning back on his stool, confident and careless. Round him, his friends chuckled, loud and loose with beer and bravado. She didn't flinch, didn't argue. She only lowered her eyes for a brief second, long enough to hide the weight of a truth that would have silenced the room if they'd known it. Because the woman they were mocking was the one who commanded the task force that owned their futures. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Commander Elise Warren. To the world outside, she was invisible by design. No uniform tonight, no insignia. Just a dark jacket, tired eyes, and the posture of someone who had learned how to take up as little space as possible when necessary. The bar near the naval base was loud, sticky with spilled drinks and old music, the air thick with stories that would never leave its walls. Elise had come alone, not for company, but for quiet. A place where she could sit with her thoughts without anyone saluting or asking for decisions that could cost lives. She had ordered water. That alone had marked her as an outsider. The men at the bar were fresh, she could tell. New confidence, untested edges. They talked about training runs and near misses like trophies. She listened without meaning to. The way a teacher listens to students who dante yet know how much they dante know. When one of them bumped her elbow and she steadied her glass, he smirked. "This isn't really your scene," he said, half grinning. "You might want to head somewhere friendlier." Elise felt the old familiar sting. Not anger. Something quieter. The exhaustion of being unseen in exactly the same way, over and over. She thought of the briefing room that morning. Satellite feeds. Red lines on maps. A task force waiting for her call. She thought she'd grown used to this. She was wrong. For a moment, she considered telling them, watching realization bloom and wither. But authority revealed to Isley lost its meaning. Respect earned quietly lasted longer. "I'm fine," she said calmly. "That should have been the end of it. It wasn't." "Relax," another voice chimed in. "We're just looking out for you." The bartender's eyes flicked toward Elise, apologetic but unwilling to intervene. Around them, the bar's noise swelled and receded like a tide. Elise felt the room closing in, not physically, but in the way memory sometimes does. She remembered her first command. The doubt, the silence after orders were given, the long night waiting for confirmation that everyone had made it back. A phone vibrated softly in her pocket. Once, then twice. Her expression changed, not dramatically, but enough. She stepped away from the bar and answered. "Yes," she said, voice low. The men watched, amused, as if this were part of the show. One of them mimed a salute, laughing. Elise listened, eyes unfocused now, mind already shifting gears. A vessel off course. Comes interference. A window closing faster than planned. "I want the perimeter locked," she said. "No improvisation, not tonight." She ended the call and turned back. "Everything okay, sweetheart?" the first man asked. Elise studied him for a long second. He reminded her of people she'd once been responsible for. Brave, flawed, human. "It will be," she said. The bar door opened then, letting in a rush of cool night, Arand with it, a senior chief in civilian clothes who stopped short when he saw her. His spine straightened instinctively. "Commander," he said, the word escaping before he could stop it. The bar fell into a strange, lopsided quiet. Elise closed her eyes briefly. So much for anonymity. The men at the counter turned, confusion giving way to something else, as the chief moved closer. "They're waiting on your call," he added, respectful, urgent. Understanding hit them unevenly, like a delayed shockwave. "Commander," one of them repeated, voice hollow. Elise nodded once. "You should get back to base," she said gently. "Ali. All of you. No anger. No triumph. Just responsibility." They stood too fast, stools scraping loudly. Apologies tumbled out, clumsy and sincere. The bartender watched with wide eyes. Someone muttered, "I didn't know." Elise gathered her things. At the door, she paused, glancing back at the men who now couldn't meet her gaze. "None of us do," she said softly. "Until it matters." Outside, the night was clear and cool. Stars hung overhead, distant and steady. Elise took a breath, feeling the weight settle back where it belonged. Hours later, the operation concluded without loss. Orders followed, lives preserved. The task force moved as one, like it always did when trust ran deeper than ego. Elise stood alone afterward, watching the horizon lighten. She thought of the bar, the laughter, the moment things shifted, because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And sometimes the quietest person in the room is carrying the heaviest responsibility, asking only for the chance to do what's right. If this story stayed with you, share your thoughts below. Subscribe for more stories like this, and join us at Whispered Words, where unseen strength always has a voice.